Well, hey, welcome back to Karate Ramblings. I'm Kieran,
And I'm Brian.
and today we are talking about, well, I suppose what we could call purposes for karate. So we have the two ideas that me and Brian have been talking about a bit over the last couple of weeks, in that karate for self-defense or self-protection, or karate for combat sports and dueling and fighting. So, Brian, what side of the
Yeah.
fence are you taking? If you had to pick
Well,
one.
okay. For my personal, it's a tough one. I was going to say for my personal preference, it would be for self-protection, and I think that was its original intent. Um, but I think karate's falling behind in popularity um, with a lot of combat sports, and I suppose karate was never originally meant to be a combat sport. It was
Hmm.
combat. Um, so yeah, to keep karate popular in the public eye, I think for the mainstream, it would have to go the other way. But for me personally, self-protection, even
Hmm.
though maybe I don't need it so much now, being an old fella that sits indoors most of the time. So
Mm.
so yeah, and I think I know which side you would prefer, being the younger man in this
Yeah.
conversation.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely on the side of karate as a type of combat sport. Now that's a very broad statement, because how many different types of combat sports style karates there are, I've got no clue. I mean, you've got kickboxing, you've got full contact, you've got 20 different full contact rules, you've got your sport point fighting, you've got full contact kickboxing as well. You've even got some MMA offshoots like Kudo, and there's a lot there to describe as a combat sport version of karate. But I do think karate, I mean, from my perspective at least, it's so much more fun when you treat it more as a fight, as a consensual fight. You know, you get two people on the mat, gloves, shin guards, gum shields, and you play for striking, positions, takedowns, joint
Yeah.
locks, you know.
So for me, I would say a combat sport would be something where it's. I think full contact has to be a combat sport. Like I'd say boxing. You know, like you said, kickboxing. You have light contact or full contact. So because it comes as full contact, I would say that's a combat sport. Muay Thai again is a combat sport because it's full contact. Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and judo, so they're grappling arts, but they come to a definite conclusion where you have a definite winner and a definite loser.
Hmm.
Whereas I think where you just sort of mentioned points fighting, there's not always a definite winner. I think it's down to the judge's eye, or it can be, there can be the wrong outcome. Not saying
Yeah.
they can't be in full contact, but generally somebody gets knocked out, they lose. So I think karate needs to, for popularity. I think it needs to lean more towards that,
Mm.
but it has to have a better karate rule set than some of the things. I don't want to shit on certain things, but as far as karate combat goes, and we're going to diss that a little bit. It is just kickboxing with MMA gloves, really. It's
Yeah.
it's more like karate, but real karate should be a bit more like a kudo kind of rule set, because
Yeah.
karate has throws, it has locks, it has chokes, it has all of this stuff that isn't in. I'm not even going to say it's not in any karate rule set, because there are. We've been searching quite a lot lately. We've come across this one in particular, which was described as Jissen Kumite, and then
Yes.
we've
Yes.
also we've also found Goju-Ryu tournament, which was very similar to Kudo as well, didn't we? I think.
Yes, it's called
Uh,
Irikumi Go style kumite. So that's very much all in. Not quite kudo, a couple of steps, but not not below kudo, but a couple of steps like before kudo, if that makes sense. You do put on your headgear. It's full contact. There are joint locks and throws and submissions, but I don't think there's any headbutts and there's no groin shots. So, is it? it is very similar to the Jissen Kumite style, which we've been doing, which is
Yeah,
very much an all-in.
yeah. So I think the problem with karate as a like so we're saying, you know, I kind of agree with you really. So I think as an older person, the self protection kind of thing interested me much more. I'm past competing now, but I still enjoy sparring in the dojo,
Hmm.
and I prefer an all-in fight rather than. So I did many years of JKA type show whip on, which
Mm,
back in the day was still hard fighting, but it wasn't. It was heavy contact, but you weren't trying to knock each other out.
no, of
I think,
course.
yeah. So I think, yeah, karate definitely needs this rule set where you can include everything. What I was going to get to is the problem is what most people see of karate as a sport or a combat sport is WKF is the biggest kind of
Yeah.
showcase for karate. So that's what people see, and
Biggest,
that
safest, widespread was
yeah.
Olympic.
Well, yeah, it was a test sport, wasn't it, or a trial sport? So I think that's what everybody sees. And I'm not, you know, I don't want to again shit on those because those guys are real athletes. They're lightning fast, and a lot of the people that have transitioned from WKF and gone into full contact have done it quite successfully as well. You know, so
Mm,
um, you know, Rafael Agaev is a
yeah.
real, you know, a good example of somebody, and he's not even a big fella, is he? He's really short.
No, no, he's
Light,
about my height, 5'5", 5'6", something like that.
lightning fast, and you know he done well in the full contact arena. Made the transition well, but I think there needs to be a good rule set for good karate.
Mm,
And it seems, yeah, Shotokan, and that was my base art, your base art, seems to have the worst rule set for Kumite. I think,
mm,
you know, and I think, and it's the biggest, most widespread. So, you know,
mm.
unless we can change that, I think
See,
people's perception of
mm,
karate is still going to be shit.
absolutely. I mean, I'm just going to talk about a little bit of a tangent. This is a bit more historical. So this is what a lot of people, I think, I forget his name, the bloke who did the Karate is Dead video was talking very much about how karate needs to evolve with
Yeah,
modern times. Now,
yeah,
speaking of evolving with modern times, so Japanese jiu-jitsu was a big thing, and it was taught and learned by the warrior class. But when samurai weren't needed anymore, Japan were looking at they were looking at still keeping jiu-jitsu as like a national thing as they were building up their military. But they also thought we want to change the public's perception on jiu-jitsu because it's got a lot of I suppose nasty things, such as your eye gouges and things like that. They wanted to take out and make it a bit more open to the public. So what Jigoro Kano did was he took away the nasty or the extremely nasty bits, kept some nasty bits, and then he made judo. So
mm,
Japanese jiu-jitsu survived by becoming what is now a combat sport, and therefore it perpetuated further into Brazilian jiu-jitsu. So
yeah,
way and art does survive when it's no longer needed to be used on a battlefield or by, I don't know, security experts for a modern equivalent. It does eventually turn into a bit more of a combat sport that the wider public can use and appreciate. I mean, punching, kicking, you can find that in kickboxing, but you can also find that in karate because kickboxing came from karate. You could also look at kickboxing as that way that karate has evolved into a combat sport. That is part of that rule set. But like you said, it is difficult for there to be a universal karate rule set because there's just too many, not too many people, but they've taken too many fangs out, if that makes sense. They thought, oh, we can't
yeah,
think about elbowing people in the chest and things like that. What if we make it light contact, point fighting for that? I mean,
yeah.
I imagine whilst the WKF stuff might be similar to the Kumite you used to do when you competed, but at least you guys were going full pelt.
Quite different, really. Actually, what we did, yeah,
Yeah.
because I think the WK, well, say quite different. Yeah, I would say it was. I think WKF is up to 10 points, isn't it? So ours was show whip on, so it's a full hip on to win a tournament. So the fights were a lot more cagey, I would say. Um, and you would really have to score a point to score a point. So, you know, it did. Yeah, you had to make good contact. But I think those guys now are just. I say they're a different. They're a different class because they are lightning fast, and people sort of look
Mm.
back at what I did with rose tinted glasses, going, "Oh yeah, we would have, we were tougher guys. We would have beat them." But I honestly don't think we would, because of the rule set the way it is now and the speed they've got. But I don't think. See, in the rule set, a lot of what they do is just touch and they're off. It's just, but they've got amazing control. But like I said earlier, there are people who have successfully transitioned to full contact.
Hmm.
But something that I've been thinking of while you was talking, I was thought about this earlier as well. You hear a lot of people say this now. Karate is the art of grappling with strikes. I think a lot of people
Hmm.
that's a term that gets thrown around a lot.
Yeah.
Um, and I totally agree it is, because a lot of what we do in the dojo, we do a lot of grappling. We strike within the clinch, within grappling, and we throw and we sweep. We do everything we do from
Mm.
that close proximity, and karate seems to work brilliant from that range.
Yeah.
But I think we can be in the danger of being just like Aikido. And so everybody, you go into any Aikido dojo, and the mantra that everybody says is Aikido is 90% atemi. And you go in any Aikido dojo and nobody is atemi, nobody's striking. So you can go into, now people are starting to say this about karate, that karate is, grappling with striking. And go into most karate dojo, how many of them are going to be grappling? you know
Mm.
and what annoys me a little bit as well is, if like we put up videos on YouTube and Instagram and stuff like that, I've not had to comment too much, but if we're going to do, say, the Ippon Seoinage from Hyan Godan, and
Hmm.
people are go, well, if you want to learn to throw, why don't you just go to judo? Well, one, we
Because we know
have.
how to throw.
Yeah, yeah, the karate throw is slightly different, but we have gone to judo as well. We have done this. People just think, oh, it's a karate guy just trying to throw. Well, it's part of our art. It's what we do.
Yeah.
um yeah, so we're not going to outskill a judoka because we don't specialize in throwing. But if
I
we can
mean,
punch them
maybe.
and throw them, then
Yeah.
maybe we will. So,
I mean,
but that's
to
not in the
to
rule set.
to outskill a judoka, you just grab their leg. They're not allowed to do that, so they won't have any
Yeah.
idea what to do.
Oh, one faction has brought that back in now, hasn't it? So one style of judo is bringing in the leg lifts again, aren't they?
Really?
Yeah.
Do you know which one that is?
Oh, go on, give me the two main
So there's
IB.
BJA, British Judo Association, and BJC, British Judo Council. There is a
Oh,
third called
I.
Judo for All. Now,
Oh no. Okay.
when I went there, they told me, oh, grabbing the leg is allowed at Judo for All rules. But then
Right.
I got really confused because they're like, oh, yeah, you're allowed to lift the leg after you've already lifted it up for, like, I don't know, Uchimata. If you already lift the leg up with your leg, then you can grab it with your hand while it's in midair. But apart from that, you're not allowed leg grabs, which is,
Okay.
feels a bit silly.
Leg grabs back in judo. I'm just trying to. Our leg grabs coming back in judo. Oh, AJF. So
AJF,
yeah.
I've got no clue.
Summit Judo International Judo. Oh, okay. Okay, the International Judo Federation made it illegal to grab below the belt,
Yeah.
and they still hold on to the rule. So the AJJF. Okay, so
Hmm.
we'll find out who that is. We'll probably find out after this chat, because I don't want to spend
Hmm.
too long
Well,
looking on
fun
all
fact.
Japanese Judo Federation.
Yeah, fun fact. The
Maybe
only reason
all
why
Japanese judo. Yeah,
the only reason why leg grabs were banned was because it was too similar to wrestling, and both being Olympic arts, they
yeah,
wanted to make judo visibly distinct from wrestling. So
yeah,
obviously, apart from wearing the jacket, it's like, okay, don't grab each other's legs and don't spend too long on the ground. Completely
yeah.
different from wrestling. but it's the
Yeah,
same thing, really.
yeah. So we've digressed a little, which we always do.
Yep.
So yeah, to make karate more popular, um, what I want, I would want to see a karate rule set that encompasses everything. So I don't want to.
Yeah.
I suppose you would take from the best, what you see. But like I said, we saw this. We talked about this briefly. We mentioned it. Was this channel? I can't even remember the name of the channel, but they did this thing called Jissen Kumite, and Jissen
Yes.
Kumite was very similar to Kudo. The guys wore head guards, and I believe elbows were allowed,
Hmm.
but no headbutts. I think that was the difference between that and Kudo,
Yeah,
um,
absolutely. And
from what I remember.
it was a good full all-in rule set, and yeah, it was very good the way they Psycho Karate, Saikou Karate. I'm just going to hold that up for the screen there. Those are the guys.
Psycho karate. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah,
yeah.
and
So
it is good because I think they said one of the blokes did MMA and the other one's a black belt in Shidokan Karate, which is another sort of obscure offshoot of Kyokushin, but is very much all encompassing in terms of like throws and grappling, which again is a great thing for karate. The problem is karate, I think it is might be a UK thing, but in terms of like these bigger rule sets, they tend to find a lot of them in Eastern Europe.
mm, they like to fight.
Yeah, they like to fight.
Maybe, yeah,
But
yeah.
yeah, I mean, for
Health
example,
and
like
safety is not such a big thing, perhaps, or less of a thing.
Les Bubka, he's from Poland. He's Kyokushin background, but I remember one time on his video, I said, "Oh, the stuff he was doing looks a lot like Kudo," and he said that his instructor was quite a big fan of Kudo, so and all other these different types of what's it called again, knockdown karate styles like Ashihara or Enshin karate. So he knows, the
Yeah,
techniques from that too. So it is
Y-
very much a thing where it does exist, but not in the UK. It seems to be few and far between.
yeah. Because I did have a chat with Les about this briefly. Because I said, we're trying to sort of follow the Jissen Kumite sort of rule set in what we're doing in the club, and I said I wanted a karate um, sparring system rather than stealing kudos, and not nothing against kudo, I love it, but
Mm,
we'd like to, but we don't do kudo, so we want something for
yeah,
karate. And then let's just listed off all these, like I say, all these full contact karate rule sets that use headgear, do elbows, some do headbutts, and so yeah, it's like you say, it's out there, but yeah, not so prevalent in the UK,
mm,
and it'd be really good. Um, if there was a bit more of that. And I think, like I say, I was talking to my youngest teenager earlier on. I said we're going to
mm,
have this chat, and they train with us. Charlie does, and they're a showdown in our group, so they do the type of sparring that we do.
tough
And at
bastard.
school, yeah, yeah, yeah. But at school, they got a friend at school that does kickboxing. Um, and so Charlie was having a chat, and the other kid said, "Oh, so what are you doing?" When Charlie meant karate, they said they had this kind of look, and then Charlie had to do the but, it's the karate but. So, but we do this, we
Mm,
do throws, we do elbows. So, like I say, karate doesn't have that image of being an all-in fighting system,
yeah,
which is a big problem, I think,
should have
which
just
is why
shown them one of our sparring videos. Like, yeah, so this is karate, and we do this. See, this is the
yeah,
thing. Like, changing karate's perspective. I mean, there is that those groups that will just do the 3K stuff, and then you've got the stuff that people that will move into more practical bunkai. However, I remember seeing this in the same video of the Karate is Dead video, and I think I actually had a conversation with Steve Goodhand just over Instagram at one point about this. So Steve Goodhand, aka Karate down in Bournemouth, brilliant guy. Sometimes with Bunkai, people just end up like over complicating things instead of just getting straight into it and then being able to spar lightly with it or spar a bit heavier with it. There is that image of, oh, karate will go and do these things, but they don't always make it practical. They'll make it look cool, and they might make it look, in line with the sequence of kata, but doesn't mean it's practical always.
Yeah. Just I was going to just not change the subject, but Steve he's released the date of his next year's tournament, by the way. I
Yep,
think it
yep.
was in May.
In
So
May,
yeah,
yes.
May. Yeah. So just in case you haven't seen it yourself, I could be talking to our wider audience as well,
Yeah.
if anybody wants to compete in it. But I know you do. So
Mm,
um, so yeah, yeah. And this, I wonder if see, I enjoy kata and deciphering kata, but it could be the red herring as well. So
mhm,
like you say, if you want to do an asotagari, just doing a Sotogari and
mm,
do you have to link it to, I mean, you could say just learn the throw. You don't have to sort of say, oh, this is from the kata,
mm.
like a lot of people do, and then put it into live practice. But like I say, as an older person, I quite enjoy it. So
Yeah.
it's good. I've done kata for years and years. But I talked to Les about this. Once you understand a few kata, you understand them all really. Because the
Yeah.
principles overlap and everything else. So but understanding the principles, you need to put it into combat. Some of the techniques aren't meant for consensual fighting, but a lot,
Mm.
you can adapt things quite easily. There's so
Yeah.
many crossovers and they're very adaptable. So, you can't do it this way. You can just change it slightly to make it work in the sporting arena. And I
Yeah.
think the best way to
Absolutely.
pressure test anything is against somebody who don't want something done to them. So
E- Absolutely.
yeah,
That's why Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu's taken off so much, and Muay Thai as well, because what they do is pressure tested against fighters all the time. When you got karate people up there, I mean, you do have quite a few karate black belts and karate, practitioners who have done incredibly well in MMA. I mean, we list off the usual suspects: Lyoto Machida, Bas Rutten, GSP, Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. There's probably so many more that that I don't remember, but you know, it is that thing of, okay, if you want your bunkai to work, if you want to have that effective bunkai, try it against someone who doesn't want it done to them.
mm, yeah, and I think it's important that you do that. It's really really important. Um, I had something else to say on that, but yeah, I've kind of lost that. But yeah, definitely, yeah, you gotta put it against a live resisting opponent.
Mhm.
Um, you might not pull off any sort of bunkai or kata, but that as I say, it's got to be done that way, isn't it? It's got to be against a
Yeah.
live resisting opponent.
And
Um,
that is how people get like credibility in their martial arts. I mean,
yeah,
I really do believe that karate does have everything you needed to be like an effective combat sport. But the problem is the way it's being showcased and the way it's being tested, and the fact that there's just too many, and the main face of combat sport karate is points, WKF point fighting, which is not our cup of tea, and it's just it's a frustrating situation because there's no clear answer. I mean, the thing is, we do, and like Les Bubko as well does. We like doing our all-round karate, if you like,
yeah,
where we include as much as we can. But most clubs in the UK won't do that. I mean, a lot of people are just thankful to go up and do the exercise. It is a case of finding
yeah,
the like-minded people who agree with you and then
yeah.
training with them.
Well, I was going to say, actually, if you look at it in terms of karate, does seem to have something for everybody, except I think the people, like I was talking about Charlie earlier, the people in their teens, so
Mm,
to their mid to late 20s. Yeah, so they're the people that at the moment I think karate doesn't attract.
mm,
So if you was to ask anybody, 19-year-old, say, oh, what would you see as an effective martial art? None of them would think karate because
mm,
they think probably it's something that they did as a child. So again, it's mostly looked at as a kids activity. So and it is a very good kids activity. We've got a very small kids class which we
mm,
focus mostly on sport. Our teenagers, once they become teenagers, we then go to more all in sort of kumite, but the ones that we hold on to, they really enjoy that transition to a more full on sparring session.
Mm.
But then after that age, I think you've got, people who still hold on, they won't be competing, but so you go to your 30s, to your 40s, may still be competing, but generally they might revert back to a bit as well. Self-protection, that's where I sort of spent a lot of my time, I'd say was probably in my 40s, really researching and studying self-protection and analysing kata. So for the older practitioner, you've got that, and then even older, I'm going to get there soon. You've got just karate for health, So I've enjoyed all the different phases of karate, but I kind of feel like I missed out as a 20-year-old, doing full contact. What I should have done really is gone to do some kickboxing, and that's the problem. Yeah, so karate doesn't have that in the UK, that full contact, what it could be.
Yeah,
And
I mean, it does have a pretty decent Kyokushin scene. I mean, there are
yeah,
quite a few dojos round, and there are quite a few tournaments. That recently had the big open at Crystal Palace, where had all people coming from internationally over. But not everyone wants to gear up for a big international tournament. Kids won't matter as much, but then the adults going in, they want to,
so
they either have to be fully committed or they have to be prepared to take a few days off work.
yeah, I mean, we should have mentioned that really, is because Kyokushin is a full contact karate style, isn't it?
Mm,
Although it doesn't allow punches to the head, and everybody criticizes
yeah.
Kyokushin for that. But I think I can't remember the reasoning behind it. It's something to do with I know there's the high skill level of being able to kick somebody in the head. Takes much more of a skill level than it does to punch somebody in the face. If you can punch somebody in the chest, you can punch them in the face, can't you?
Yeah.
I think the downside, we've got a Kyokushin practitioner who's training in our club now, or they used to practice Kyokushin. So
Yeah.
now we're doing, like, they're doing a bit of kickboxing with us, or our all in Kumite. It's taken them a few lessons to get used to keeping their hands up, because they're sort of fighting with their hands down, even just moving your heads,
Mm,
while you're sparring, because they don't need to. So it's an ingrained habit, but they're breaking it. So it's not
yeah.
like,
Absolutely.
So I think,
I
and
mean,
different people would adapt to that slower or quicker. So you could
yeah.
just put somebody in that arena straight away, and immediately they'll move their head because they don't like getting punched in the face, or they'll keep their hands up as a guard. So
Yeah.
I wouldn't discount Kyokushin at all.
No.
But again, it's a small. So this is the problem. Shotokan is the biggest face of karate,
Mm,
and it doesn't have that. So it doesn't do what Kyokushin does. And I would mention as well. We sort of briefly mentioned it earlier, is Goju-Ryu.
yeah.
So Goju-Ryu has their full contact fighting system, and
Hmm.
somebody who sort of puts their money where their mouth is really is a guy called Gavin Mulholland.
Yeah.
So his guys used to. I think he's won a lot of cage fights in the UK, and I think
Nice.
one of his students went to Bellator, and I don't know if they went as far as big. It's the big MMA. I've lost it now. The
UFC one
UFC.
championship.
I wonder if somebody. I've got a feeling somebody even went to UFC. I know somebody definitely went
Wow.
to Bellator from Gav's stable. And that's Goju-Ryu, and he's always done that. So it's not nothing new for Gav. It's just something that's
Mm,
always happened within his style of Goju-Ryu.
yeah.
So again, Shotokan is the biggest style of karate practiced throughout the world, and I think it's the one that's the face of it. Really, it's what everybody
Yeah.
thinks of.
But the weakest competition.
It's the weakest link, I think. So sorry, Shotokan Party. I mean, this is what we did. We dropped the Shotokan name, but this is our base art, isn't it? So
Yeah. Yeah. It
going to
is
get a
our
lot of
base
hate for
art.
that, I think.
But
But
that's the
there
thing.
you go.
I mean, technically, my base art is Taekwondo, and even that sparring was more like free flowing kickboxing type of thing. But then it was weird when I made the switch to eventually to karate, and it was like, oh, score a point, stop, reset, score a point, stop, reset. Whereas in the Taekwondo format I followed was a little bit more, like I said, close to kickboxing, and it was just like free flowing. You get your points, whoever's dominating wins. But yeah, no, unfortunately, it is the face of karate. But I wouldn't really call ourselves pure Shotokan practitioners anymore.
Well,
I think
we're not at
we're
all,
just
really.
karateka.
Yeah,
We are just general
yeah,
karateka.
yeah. We're not Shotokan at all, which
Yeah,
because we had somebody join us recently, said, "Oh, I see, you got a Shotokan, you're a Shotokan." I said, "Well, we're not really." I said, "We have a Shotokan base. We still follow the Shotokan kata, which we'll be talking about that at the end of the year in our instructors meeting."
Mm.
But that's about it. That's the only link really we've got to Shotokan now is the kata that we do. But those
Yeah.
kata, they're the same kata that Wado-ryu do. There's probably in Shitori-ryu. So those kata are just they're just the forms where what we like to study as partner drills and stuff. So, but yeah, I think yeah, I think we've sort of sussed it out there. I say it is the weakest link, and it's the
Yeah.
one that everybody knows, and it's you say karate and everybody thinks Shotokan. So yeah,
Mm.
you're going to get some hate mail for this one, Kieran. This goes on your channel, doesn't it? So not on mine.
Yeah, I
So,
I usually get some hate mail or
bring it on.
some random will make a 3-hour
Death
video
threats from
criticizing everything we
from the
say, and
JKA. Oh yeah, blood.
yeah.
Yeah, that was a
I mean,
two-part of that one, wasn't it? A two-part
two-part
for hating karate combat.
at least 3 hours worth of content based on our content. I do not have the time or the energy to even think about how long they spent editing that, nor do
Yeah,
I
that
couldn't
was
give
yeah,
two
that was a,
shits.
yeah, that was a 45-minute video from us that turned into a 3-hour video from him. So
Christ.
yeah, well done,
I
well done.
mean, yeah, if they want to do that, that's their time, not mine. I'm not
Yeah,
even paying attention to it. So, anyway, we have got a few minutes
back.
left.
Oh, I've not seen the timer actually. Oh, okay, yeah, yeah, okay. So what we're going to talk about to wrap it up? Stuff we
Well,
done.
yeah, stuff we've done. What have we done recently, Brian? I
I
don't
think we
think
talked about. I think we talked about the Tommy and Ian thing on the last video, didn't we? So
yeah, we did do that. Have you been to any seminars since?
not since then. No, and for the rest of the year, it's going to be pretty quiet. So
Hmm.
because we are in December, heading up to Christmas.
Yeah.
We did say, I think we've mentioned the things. So January, I've got a couple of things going on in January. So I did the Project Victory thing with Tommy last year, the instructors course.
Hmm.
He's doing a recap for the instructors. So it's no good to anybody listening to this. But as a club, we're hooking up with the Sambo Club. So again, being a progressive
Yeah.
martial art club, we're going over to a guy that I met on the instructors course.
Mm.
Yeah, it was not trying Sambo. We're just going to spar with the guys, and we also we do some combat sport, proper combat sport, and then we'll do some combatives. So modern combatives and World War II combatives. And
Yeah.
talking about
Really good.
combat sport, I think you're heading off all the way up to Bradford, aren't you, in January?
Yeah, yeah, I'm taking a squad. Well, I say a squad. I've only got 2 people have confirmed so far, but taking a few people up to Bradford. So what was originally going to be just a extra session for the Kudo guys up in Yorkshire turned into another what not a national training event, but another like sort of Kudo BJJ open mat. So I'm taking a couple of people up there, and there's a couple of more spots in my car. So if anyone from the club is listening to this, give us a shout and let me know if you want to come. It is £5. Training goes from about 1 to 4, so 3ish hours, and you're training with a Kudo black belt and who is also a BJJ black belt and a kickboxing black belt, and is an absolute legend of an MMA fighter. So you've got a really good training opportunity there, training with Spen, who runs Kudo Ups North.
So you said you got still got a couple of spots in your car free.
Yeah,
So
Brian, you
you've
coming?
offered it. Yeah, you've offered it to people in our club, random people off the internet,
Yeah, randomers off the
random
internet.
strangers.
If you want to get into some headbutts with us, absolutely jump in. More than happy to have you. You
There's a couple of
know,
spaces in Kieran's car.
one of them is in the boot, so be warned. Yeah, but
Yeah.
I don't think
So
we've
yeah,
done.
it's
Yep,
go on.
I was
You
going
don't
to say
think we've done what?
I don't think we've done anything else recently apart from that Ian and
Yeah,
Tommy
Tommy thing. No.
seminar, which we talked about last time. Just a side note for me, I've been doing more and more Muay Thai recently, and I just got to say, if anyone's not tried it yet, do it because it's brilliant. It is so good. It is just that it is kickboxing taken to another level. Obviously, it's its own martial art in its own right, separate from kickboxing. But if you've only ever done like I don't know, K1 or light contact kickboxing, try Muay Thai. I know we say like, oh, it's a full contact martial art or full contact sport. unless you're actually fighting in competition, you'll never take a full contact shot. So you can go train, have fun, and then go home at the end of the day with like minimal injuries, like no
But that's
injuries.
what I think maybe we have, or we should talk about it if not. But I think we have talked about it. That's what sparring should be. You shouldn't be knocking seven bells out of each other anyway. So
Mm,
if you're going home with injuries or your head's ringing, you're doing it wrong, or your
yeah,
club's doing it wrong. So like you say,
absolutely.
you only do that in tournaments or if you're getting paid, really. So why would you want to take a full punch to the face several
Exactly.
times, in a round, unless you're getting paid?
Exactly.
So I think we can call it. Yeah, does karate need to be more of a combat sport? Yes, it does. I think
Absolutely.
is the conclusion. Um, does it need to be self? It can be self protection, but self protection is different for everybody, isn't it?
Yeah. And
So
I like what was it? I think Jamie Clubb is the one who said this, self-protection needs to be treated as a first aid course. You do it every so often to refresh your knowledge, but if you're doing it every single time, well, it's just no fun. And you do it once, you don't need to do it for a while. Self-protection, do a course, do some reading, do some self-analysis, and yeah, that can do it for you. And you can practice some hard skills too, but you're doing it every single time you go to training. For me, I'd call that a bit boring. I mean, just a bit.
right, okie doke. Right, better sign out because we're going to get cut off.
All right,
Us,
absolutely. Thank
yeah.
you very much, guys. You can find me at Mackenzie Karate on Instagram.
Same. Brian Bates, Zanshin Karate.
Okay, until next time. Cheers, guys.